Welcome to this deep dive. If you've been feeling that particular exhaustion that comes from living in a hyper-competitive, always-on hustle culture,
Oh, the burnout is real.
it really is. Or, if you regularly find yourself just doom scrolling the news, watching corrupt systems seemingly win,
Right.
and feeling this heavy, heavy frustration about this state of justice in the world, well, we are tackling exactly that today.
We really are.
Our mission for this session is to take a very specific piece of ancient text, a poem or a song known as Psalm 75, and extract its thousands of years old wisdom.
And it is surprisingly relevant.
Yeah, we're using this ancient source material, which is attributed to a figure named Asaph, to find a blueprint for navigating your own ambition, your desire for fairness, and ultimately your inner peace.
I mean, what is genuinely remarkable about diving into Asaph's writing is that you realize the human condition hasn't actually evolved all that much.
Not at all.
Right. Asaph wasn't just some isolated musician. He was a prominent leader, a seer in ancient Israel, operating right in the thick of royal courts and political intrigue.
He saw it all firsthand.
Exactly. He had a front row seat to power struggles, arrogant leaders, societal instability. So when he writes about craving validation or getting anxious about our standing in the world.
Or wanting fairness to prevail.
Yes, exactly that. He's writing from a place of intense sociological observation. This text addresses the psychology of ambition and justice head on.
Okay, let's unpack this. We need to start with the structure, right?
Let's do it.
This is fundamentally a text of thanksgiving and instruction. It is entirely focused on the concept of God's sovereignty.
Which is basically asking who is actually in control when the world feels like it's spinning off its axis.
Exactly. And the imagery right at the beginning is so striking. Verse 3 opens with this picture of absolute chaos. Asaph writes, "The earth and all the inhabitants thereof are dissolved."
Dissolved. It's such a strong word.
It is. And in response to that total societal instability, the divine voice declares, "I bear up the pillars of it, Selah."
What's fascinating here is that it establishes this massive contrast right from the jump.
Yeah.
Because when human courts or political rulers or even the economic systems you rely on feel like they're crumbling under the weight of corruption,
That's terrifying.
it's completely terrifying. It feels like the ground is giving way beneath you. But Asaph is establishing a foundational truth here.
A spiritual anchor.
Right. The text is claiming that human systems may fail, but God is the ultimate anchor and the true judge, holding the structural integrity of everything together.
And that includes that little word at the end of the verse, Selah, which is basically a musical command to pause.
Yeah, a forced breath.
Yeah.
You stop, you sit in the silence, and you let the reality of that stability wash over you.
Which is a built-in mechanism for mindfulness during a crisis. I love that.
It's very practical.
But right after that pause, the text gets into some very pointed warnings. In verses 4 and 5, God speaks directly to the foolish and the wicked.
The tone shifts entirely.
It really does. The text says, "Deal not foolishly," and to the wicked, "Lift not up the horn, lift not up your horn on high, speak not with a stiff neck."
Okay, we have to talk about the agrarian imagery here.
Please, because we don't exactly walk around warning people not to lift their horns today.
No, we
Yeah.
definitely don't. But in ancient wisdom, in a pastoral society, the horn represents the strength and pride of an animal.
Like an ox or a ram asserting dominance.
Exactly. It tosses its head up to display its power. So lifting the horn represents self-exaltation. It's arrogance.
Just throwing your weight around.
Yes. And the text pairs it with the stiff neck, which is a work animal that refuses to respond to the guide. It won't yield.
So the text is teaching that this kind of pride, this refusal to bow or listen, inevitably leads to a downfall.
It actively invites God's humbling hand.
Which brings us to a highly specific and honestly surprising detail about how we get ahead in the world. Verse 6 states, "For promotion cometh neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south."
Geography of promotion.
Yes, it leaves out the north, but it essentially says promotion doesn't come from around you. Because verse 7 drops the bottom line. "But God is the judge. He putteth down one and setteth up another."
It's such a profound concept. Because true promotion, true honor, doesn't come from human manipulation or horizontal striving.
It's completely vertical.
Strictly from God's favor. True exaltation is God-given.
Okay, but then the imagery gets intensely cinematic in verse 8.
A cup.
The cup of red wine. It says, "The Lord holds a cup full of mixture, and as he pours it out, all the wicked of the earth are forced to wring out and drink the very dregs of it."
This represents the cup of God's wrath. his sure justice.
And the mixture part, that means it's potent, right? Like
Yeah.
ancient wine mixed with spices to make it stronger.
Exactly. It is overwhelming, absolute justice. But the ancient wisdom here also centers on timing.
How so?
Divine justice belongs to God, and earlier in the psalm, it mentions God acting at the appointed time,
Oh, boy.
meaning his justice is completely certain, even if, from our perspective, it feels agonizingly delayed.
Having to drink the dregs, the bitter sediment at the bottom, means nothing is overlooked.
Every last drop.
And Asaph wraps up this summary with a vow in verses 9 and 10. He vows to declare this forever, to sing praises to the God of Jacob, affirming that the horns of the wicked will be cut off, but the horns of the righteous will be exalted.
He aligns himself completely with that reality.
So what does this all mean? Let's pivot and translate this ancient wisdom directly to your modern life,
Let's do it.
starting with facing injustice. We look around at corrupt systems, and it is just maddening. How does this text speak to those modern frustrations?
It demands patience, which is hard for us.
Very hard. We want instant karma.
Right. But because God's justice is certain, because he holds that corrupt systems and arrogant leaders will never have the final word.
We don't have to carry the burden of righting every wrong ourselves.
No. You advocate for justice, sure, but you don't have to despair.
That's incredibly freeing. But what about our personal ambition? We mentioned the hustle culture earlier, that exhaustion of constant comparison.
Oh, applying the geography of promotion concept here is a game changer.
Because if we believe promotion is vertical,
Exactly. Trusting God's timing for your promotion offers incredible freedom.
you don't need to force advancement.
You don't need to step on others or anxiously chase recognition. You work hard, but you rest internally. Integrity outlasts shortcuts.
I love that. Integrity outlasts shortcuts. But what if you are the one in charge? Let's bring up that stiff neck warning again. How should modern leaders view this?
Well, authority is merely a temporary stewardship.
It's not a self-made pedestal.
Exactly. If you're a leader, staying humble is literally the only way to ensure alignment with God's will. The moment you get a stiff neck, you're inviting a humbling experience.
So for the listener right now, how does embracing all these truths actively strengthen their trust and relationship with God?
It synthesizes down to this: knowing that God alone controls justice and God alone controls promotion allows us to completely release our anxiety.
We stop trying to do his job.
Exactly. Our only role is to remain faithful and humble. When we trust his timing to lift us up, that act of surrender builds deep, genuine trust.
You just let him be the judge.
It takes the weight right off your shoulders.
It really does. Well, to briefly recap our journey today, we've explored ancient, unshakable pillars, stiff necks, and cups of red wine.
We covered a lot of ground.
We did. And it ultimately provided this surprisingly modern blueprint for navigating ambition and finding inner peace.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you just don't need to manipulate your way to the top.
Or despair over worldly injustice.
Right. Because God is handling the heavy lifting.
Which leaves me with a final provocative thought for you to ponder.
I like where this is going.
When you look at the source text, the psalmist's immediate reaction to all of this wasn't just relief. His reaction was a vow to sing praises forever.
He chose celebration before the resolution.
Exactly. So think about this. If praise and thanksgiving are the natural responses to trusting God's control, how might choosing gratitude today completely change your perspective on whatever promotion or justice you are currently waiting for?
That is a powerful shift in perspective.
It changes the whole atmosphere of your mind. Which brings us to the ultimate question for you as we close out.
The most important part.
How will you apply this information in your life?
Seriously, take a moment and think about it today.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Take care of yourself, take a deep breath, and we'll catch you next time.